What exactly are negative numbers? When we learn to count using what we think of as ordinary numbers, we're always thinking of numbers that are more than nothing, more than zero. The very first numbers we learn, 1, 2, 3, they're small, but they're more than nothing. And as we learn numbers that are bigger, they're that many places bigger than nothing. If we look at this on a number line, we have 0 right at the beginning. From 1 to 12, all those numbers are that many places away from 0. And as the numbers get bigger, counting in tens, counting in hundreds, they're showing you how many places away from 0, how many places bigger than 0 each number is. These numbers that we think of as ordinary numbers, they're known as positive numbers. With a positive number, you can imagine it with a plus sign in front of it. And actually, as you start doing harder maths, this is a useful thing to remember. Positive numbers. This includes fractions. Here we have a half, then a third, then a quarter, and as your fraction gets smaller, you still have something. Even that white segment there is more than nothing. And if you look at fractions on a line, fractions are less than 1, but they're still more than 0. You still have something there rather than nothing. And no matter how small your fraction is, even if we're looking at fractions in the thousandths, you still have something there. It might be very small, but it's still more than nothing. Decimal numbers are also positive. And although at this stage your child might be unfamiliar with decimal numbers, it's useful to remember that no matter how small your decimal is, you still have something there. You might have nothing in the ones column, nothing in the tenths, nothing in the hundredths, but 1 in the thousandths. You might need 1,000 of these to make a whole 1, but you still have more than nothing. All these decimals are less than 1, but we still have something there. They're more than nothing. Negative numbers, on the other hand, are less than 0. They're smaller than nothing. On this line here, we have the 0, and to the right of it, we have positive numbers. 1 is 1 place bigger than 0, 2 is 2 places bigger than 0, and so it goes on. And even if we went up to 19 million, that's telling you that it's 19 million places bigger than 0. Remember the point about positive numbers, we can think of them with the plus sign in front. Negative numbers, on the other hand, go before the 0, and they're showing you how many places smaller than 0 each number is. So minus 1, or negative 1, is showing you that it's 1 smaller than 0. Negative 2 is showing us that it's 2 smaller than 0. And that carries on with negative numbers. On this line, we go down to negative 6, which is showing us that it's 6 smaller than 0. We could go to minus 19 million, which is telling you that it's 19 million smaller than 0. One of the confusing things about negative numbers is we're so used to positive numbers that negative numbers can look bigger when actually they're smaller. These positive numbers here, by the time we're able to count, we can usually tell that 1 is the smallest one and 999 is the biggest. But as soon as we put a minus sign in front of them to make them negative numbers, they work the opposite way round. If you were asked to put these numbers in order from smallest to greatest, a lot of children and adults would struggle at first to remember that minus 999 is actually smaller than minus 1, and that the order would be this way round. And if you look at that on a line, you've got the 0 at the end, and then these negative numbers, as they look bigger, they're actually getting smaller. That minus 999 is 999 smaller than 0, whereas minus 1 is only 1 smaller than 0. Here are some negative numbers for you to order. Put these negative numbers in order from smallest to greatest. Pause the video, have a go. And if you remember that with negative numbers, the ones that look bigger are actually smaller, you will have them in this order. Minus 142, minus 79, minus 26, minus 12, and minus 7 is the biggest. Here's another one for you to try. This is a little more challenging because I've included some numbers that aren't negative. Put them in order from smallest to biggest. Pause the video, have a go. Minus 185 is the smallest one. Minus 99, minus 64, minus 24, minus 17. Then we get to 0, and on the other side of the 0 we have the numbers that are bigger than 0. 2 and 15. And remember, you can think of 2 and 15 as having a plus sign in front of them. And now that you understand what negative numbers are, you can start looking at some of the other videos with some problems to solve involving negative numbers.